One. Hey, we're back with the Rock Fantasy Files again, and we got some of our old school members, and we stole someone from the Sea of Tranquility tonight. And we got Ralph Tambora, who's the Orange County, New York's metal historian. We got Tony Dio here from North Carolina, that's been a regular in the channel. We got, of course, Sasquatch, Denny Barth, from British Columbia, from Aggression, and we've got, of course, everyone knows John McEntee from the Mighty Incantation, and Nik Franco, who I mentioned already, is here. And I kind of put this episode together. We're trying to do content and get a show out to you every week now as the fall comes through. And who just disappeared? We went down somebody, but new, and we're gonna kind of do like a new, what's that? We
Ralph
lost
is
Ralph.
gone.
Yeah, we lost Ralph. Well, we're going to kind of do a new release roundtable tonight. We did one earlier in the season where we were talking about some of the things that we liked that came out in the first quarter, and we didn't really do anything over the summer. But this is just something to promote some of the bands that and releases that we've been digging through the summer into the early fall here. So I've asked our guests to just chat about and see what they're digging tonight. And I don't know. Denny's got a appointment. He's got to go play hockey, I think, and soon drink some Labatt's up there or something. So we're gonna let him go first, and we'll just go through your top 3 or 5, whatever you got, and then we'll go over to the next person. So welcome, Denny. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, for sure, guys. Always a pleasure. And like, you guys are like my friends now, so I feel we're just like meeting for beers and talking about like, music, which is what it's all about.
Cheers.
And yes, like, yes, my son. It's so Canadian. Like, of course, my sons play hockey. I play hockey. I coach hockey. So, my son has a game tonight, and I gotta go and check it out. My daughter's actually checking the people who are vaccinated at the door, so they have to show their vaccine passport. So she's even part of the equation. All right, so like every time we talk about like new releases, and I feel like my age is always coming true. Like I'm so old school, and I still like at that 55, like I always have like the need to like listen to new music. And same as when I was like 13, looking through record bins and, oh, what is that? Uriah Heep, or, oh, what is that? Like Thin Lizzy. Like, so it's the same for me now. Like I use like social media and whatever, like you guys, to influence what I'm going to listen to. And the previous episode we did with something like that got me to listen to new bands I never heard before. So it's all about sharing music and discovering new artists and all that. So I love to be part of that.
Cool.
So my first, the first album I want to bring up is, again, showing my age, is the new Steve Hackett. It's called Surrender of Silence. I don't know if you guys, Steve Hackett used to play guitar for Genesis. He's been a solo artist for years. He must be like 70, 71. I don't know, like around that, from like an age group. And his ability to like play like soloing in a manner that is pretty like very specific to him. Like he doesn't sound like anybody else the way that he plays solos, and he has become like a master, well, he was a virtuoso in the 70s, but now he has almost like achieved a different level of like incorporating a lot of like metal techniques and stuff like that. So you guys got to check that out. It's brand new, and I'm listening to it like all the time. Very like prog, very like it's Steve Hackett. You got to check it out. The second thing I want to bring up is something that someone from Seas of Tranquility kind of recommended to me. It's Blind Golem, which used to be the band of like Ken Hensley, backup band, and they have a new album, and it's like, it's just as good as Uriah Heep. It's an easy listen, and it's something that the more and more I listen to, the more I can appreciate their own like writing, kind of like writing style. That is, it does sound a lot like Uriah Heep, but somehow it sounds even more fresh than the latest Uriah Heep album. It sounds more like 70s Uriah Heep.
Okay.
It's called like A Spell and a Charm. Amazing album. And it's Pete that recommended that. There was a conversation around that last time we met. And I right away, I went and listened to it because I'm a Uriah Heep freak. And I loved it very much. So let's go on the metal side. Like I do listen to like a lot of metal as well. The first one I want to bring up is the new Carcass. And I don't know, like my relationship with Carcass goes way back. Like, I mean, their first album, like it was like that new, like extreme metal, like even like Morbid Angel and all those bands kind of started that like late 80s and there was that movement, and then it kind of like, similar to when like you guys up New York started with Incantation and Immolation and all that, like, but they had that sound. Like I bought like that first Carcass and the Cathedral at the same time. So one was like super fast, the other one was super slow, which was perfect. But like the new album, again, like it's Bill's riffs and the way that he plays the music, and like I don't know, it's really well crafted, and I find it like extremely heavy. And I had the chance to meet Jeff, like, and talk to him, and he looks such a, like when I met him, he was wearing like a train controller conductor kind of hat and looking like nothing like a guy who could play like extreme metal. He looked like, I don't know, anything but what he represents. But I really like it. It's an easy listen. It's like simple to listen to. It's not complex, but it's freaking powerful. Like I put it in my Dodge Ram truck, full blast, and like, I don't know, it really works for me. It really works for me. And then the last one I wanted to talk about is, so like I'm an old school trash guy. I do like listen to a lot of newer trash band and listen to the influences and all that, and it doesn't always work for me, but sometimes, like, like as an example, like Toxic Holocaust, once in a while will get a riff that just wants you to freaking run through the wall, or like break something, or like burn a car. I don't know, it gives me that same feeling when I used to listen for the first time to Razor Evil Invaders and just go to the street of Montreal and break shit. So so like I and it's the band that really caught my attention, and it's I don't even know how to pronounce it. I don't know if you say like evil or evil or whatever, but it's Evile. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Evile,
yeah, Evil. And their album is Hells Unleashed. And I find it's really well done. It's fast. It's like, like I can almost hear like the Pro Tools, like, mistakes being corrected here and there. But like overall, like when it comes to like straight trash, like they delivered the goods. It works for me. It's not at par, like I'd say, as some of the Toxic Holocaust releases, but if you listen to the entire album from top to bottom, there's no filler in there. It's straight in your face from start to finish, and doesn't make me want to burn car yet. Maybe you'll get there, but I'll keep listening and see where it carries me. But like, they're like I just one more thing I want to talk about is like the last time you guys were all raving about the Dead Daisies album, how like solid it is and all that, and I went back and listened to it, and I feel like Glenn Hughes is like, he doesn't age, like his voice gets better. I don't know what's going on with that guy, but Black Country Communion is amazing, and now him singing with that band, like I listened to it as well again because of you guys talking about it, and so that's pretty much what's been playing. A lot of Steve Hackett. When I want to go prog, I go Steve Hackett, Blind Golem. When I want to like crush people with my truck, I listen to Carcass and Evile, and That's it. When I want to look cool, I listen to Dead Daisies. So I get my music for home use. That's it. That's it. That's my entries.
You gotta keep
Cool.
it, you know, it's a good variety you had there. A little mellow, a little heavy, a little fast.
All right.
Cool.
If you're like a Frank Zappa song, a friend, Frank Zappa freak, and Frank Zappa, like he really opened your mind to like.
Mhm.
I just did an interview talking about him, and he really opened my mind to all kind of music. There's no musical restriction in my house. People listen to everything.
Yeah,
And I love that about music. Doesn't need to be to one, you just one genre. Like whatever I like, if I like it, I'll listen to it. That's it.
cool.
The way
cool.
music should be, just whatever you enjoy.
Like, thank
I
you, Denny.
enjoy.
And if we see you disappear from the screen, we'll know you're off to the hockey game. So actually, NHL starts tonight too, right? Tonight's NHL season drop, I think. Yep, yep. All right, who are we gonna go to next here now? Do you guys want to keep it just all 5 in a row, or do you want to move it back around? We let Denny go first, but I don't know. What do you think, John? You're my co-host tonight.
I don't know.
Just bang them all out.
I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, I guess we'll just do all 5 at a time because it
Okay.
seems to go quicker that way, you know?
Yeah, it does. It does. How about we go with Mr. Ralph Tambora first? Or second,
Right.
number 2.
All right,
Welcome,
my
Ralph.
first one. Thank you for having me. My first one is Possessed released a new album, but it's actually all old material from the 80s. It's called Death Metal Demo CD,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's got
Yeah.
Oh, I did see that.
got the
Yeah, I
Death
didn't
Metal
realize
demo
that was
from
brand new.
1984, and it's got Metal Massacre Cut from 85, and it's got a rehearsal from 1984, and then a live short set from 1987.
You have it on that.
Okay.
That was a great thing to come across this year. And
Yeah, that's awesome.
Steve's wearing the shirt.
Oh, yeah, that came out this year too. I almost thought it came out in December of last year, but it did come out in 2021. Yep, yep,
Yeah.
early.
Yeah, I wasn't
I
sure.
think in January. Yep, yep.
Yep, January.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's their 10th album, and they never let me down. Everything they put out is always great. I'll grab whatever they put out immediately.
Yeah, this is actually, I got this from the live stream. I still bought the merch like I was there in person, so.
Nice.
And he was a guest on the channel a few months ago. John interviewed him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got it. Martin Van Druren on.
Martin.
Great guy.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
Legend.
Yeah, one of my favorite singers in death metal.
Yes.
Okay, then Cannibal Corpse, new one.
Nice.
They never
Yeah.
disappoint.
It's a solid record.
Yeah, 15th full length album. Everything they put out great. First time with Eric Rutan playing guitar. Just another great solid release by them. And Denny was bringing up the Carcass, and I've been really loving it. I love the production on this. They've got that great Carcass guitar sound still, but it's real melodic. But the meaty production gives it the heaviness, and I think it's a great release. Different from the last one, but really good.
Doesn't disappoint.
And this one I have to do as like a kind of like a double, because we've had a lot of these lockdown sessions, people playing
Oh, the
online.
Destruction live attack. Yes.
Destruction and Candlemass live at Green Valley. They
Oh, I
both
gotta
come
check
with the
that out.
DVDs of come with the DVDs of the shows.
And that was the
And-
Destruction live stream they did around Christmas of last year. And yep. And then they
Yeah, I missed
got a
that. I heard it
great
was
sound.
awesome.
they reissued that as, yeah, dude, it was crazy. It was the longest I've ever seen Destruction play, because usually it was like a full 2-hour set. You know?
Yeah, it's 2 CDs for their thing, and then the DVD too.
Yeah.
The Candlemass is just 1 CD, but that's great too. And this is another like double kind of thing. Is you got Crypta and Nunovosa this year.
Yes. Very
2
good.
classics.
Nervosa
They're
was
great.
on my first quarter. A lot of the ones you just picked were on my first quarter one, but that's cool. Nervosa,
I got a bunch
of
of-
course, so.
Got a bunch of honorable mentions. I got like another 10 more, but I'll save them for later, I guess.
All right, we'll wrap up with that, with the honorable mention. That sounds good. That sounds great. Who wants to go next? We'll keep it on the bottom row with Nicholas wants to go next. He waved his hand like a kid in school. Yes, you can go to the bathroom, son.
Thank you. What's up, guys? So I have an assistant tonight, Steve, that's gonna help hand me the albums. All right, so I'm gonna introduce her.
Who's there? Chris Allo?
No, couldn't get Alice, so I got my kid. And
And she has a very stylish T-shirt. Yes.
Yeah, rocking.
Thank you.
Shameless plug.
Hello.
She's gonna hand me the albums. and
It's
hold them
great
up.
to have. It's great to have some youth on the show too. That's a
Yeah, I figure it's-
fellow youth.
All right, so I just picked I have a whole mess of 2021 releases. It's been a good year, so I just picked 5 out at random, not in any order.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first one right there that you can hold up to the people is the Dark Throne album.
Okay.
Eternal Hales. Yeah, I guess with Dark Throne, there's a lot of people that don't like their latest releases or have problems with them. I'm definitely somebody who's accepted most of their career maneuvers because they've gone to almost crust punk levels. They've done everything, and this what they got going on here is sort of part doomy, part death metal. I think they're still at the top of their game. So I got to give Eternal Hales to Eternal Hales, and that's an awesome album cover. So
is.
definitely Dark Throne. Yeah, I've been listening to that a lot. I think it's still catchy. It's awesome. And all right, and then moving on.
I'll check that one again, the Dark Throne. I want to listen to it again.
Yeah, I think it's really
It
good.
says,
Yeah.
it's 5 heavy dinosaurs looking in wonder and bewilderment at the stars is what it says on the line.
Fenris, yeah, they still got it. A lot, just good songs. They're not resting on
Check
any
it out.
laurels. And then the other one, you can hold this one up. This is now from Sweden. This is a band called Thirfing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. The new album is a
Put just a little more light on that cover if you
Yeah.
could.
little
bring it.
closer.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, thriving. Thriving?
Vonnegander is the name of the album. You could describe them as basically robust pagan metal with a little bit of death in there, but it's very influenced by Bathory's Hammerheart type stuff. They haven't made an album in a while, and if you like that sort of thing, it's got just enough folk in it to keep it interesting without being jigging around the fire dancing. It's more grim, and I think it will appeal to people into a wide range of metal styles. So I'm happy about Thirfing, their new album. Now you can hand me the red one, the big red one. And then moving over to France, to the black metal band Seth. They've been around a long time, and as you can see, that's the Notre Dame on fire. They're not big fans of the man upstairs, but the new album is called let me see, Le Monsieur du Christ. I googled that to make sure I knew how to say it right. Just means the bite of Christ. If you like really intense black metal with heavy synthesizers and just that echoing, screaming voice, he's got one of those not quite Danny Filth, but not very low. It's more I don't know. It's just such a great scream. I love that type of vocal. This one keeps it interesting and keeps the pedal on the metal the whole time. And I highly recommend it. And this edition is super rare. They only made 300 of these or something. So I grabbed one.
Nice.
Made a lot of purchases this year because when we didn't have concerts, I felt like I needed to make a lot of purchases. All right. And then give me that little black one.
Yeah, make purchases even if they're concerts, please.
I'll hold it. So this is this band is called Holder.
Oh, great
And
band.
yeah, right. And we're gonna see them in December. They play in New York, and it's
Oh.
one lady and just a young woman, corpse paint, spikes, speed, black metal. My favorite, as everyone knows. But she has the song. She has the goods. It's really interesting. Good lyrics. Her voice is from the grave. It's really good stuff. There's a lot of good black metal out there, and a lot of young people making really good black metal. So I have to recommend Holder, and pretty sure I think she's either moved to America from another country. I don't know, but she's from hell. You know, I like to see that people are still doing the Spikes corpse paint fire in the woods kind of shit. I know people say it's cliche, but it's what I love. You know, I don't think it gets old. I love it. Anything else, man. If the music's good, we're in this for life, right? So it's not no trends. It's just she's gonna
Yep.
do it and doing it well. And then the last one, quick, you have one more.
One
Hold it up
more.
to the guy. Norwegian band Vride, and it's called Wild Northwest. And
Okay.
yeah, Vride is. There used to be a band called Windeer. They were like an epic sort of paganistic black metal band from Norway. And okay, thank you. Go to bed. No. And so they are more like they've been described as black and roll. So like there's just a lot of great guitar on this album. It's not just some, you know, screaming aggressive black metal. They really play really good songs. They made the whole thing was made as like a concept movie. So instead of making a video for just one or two songs, there's videos for every song in sequential order. So it tells like a story. And they really outdid themselves. These guys are awesome. So it's called Wild Northwest, and the band is Bride. Again, it's probably rooted in black metal, but it's got so much good guitar work and so many good riffs that I think somebody, you know, people from who like other genres could get a lot from it.
Mhm.
So those
Cool.
are 5 that I've been rocking a lot. So
Well, thank you for your time tonight.
thank
Some
you.
good choices.
And we've got, let's go with Tony Dio, then we'll go over to John and I'll wrap things up, I guess. And Tony, welcome.
Hey, always good to be here.
Thank
Um,
you.
Been listening to a lot of different stuff over the last 6 months or so. I think Sasquatch mentioned the Dead Daisies a little while ago.
Yeah.
Love this album. I've never really got into anything else they've done. This album, when I heard Glenn Hughes has joined the band with Doug Aldrich, you know that's got to be a great combination there. And Dean Castronova on drums, and they just got some really great songs on there. I've heard some people say, well, it kind of sounds like a Glenn Hughes solo record. Well, I think it's a little better than his last few solo albums, in my opinion. Just good hard rock stuff, 70s style, and good guitar playing. And I just saw him play live a few weeks ago in Virginia Beach. Great show. Of course, Dean's no longer in the band. They had Tommy, who played in Black Sabbath, the last Black Sabbath tour, was playing drums. And
Oh, wow.
great show. And yeah, so that guy's a great player too. So they had just a top-notch band. So it was really good. From there, I'm really getting into this this KK's, I always say Judas Priest, KK's Priest.
KK's Priest. That's kind of like,
Yeah, I really like this. I always liked the Ripper era of Judas Priest. Was always a fan. This just kind of continues that sound that they had. I think the guitars sound a little better, not as synthy as they did back in those days, but it's got that late 90s, early 2000 Judas Priest sound, super fast, super heavy, borderline speed metal at times. Because we had heard when they first put it together that Les Binks was going to be involved, so we didn't know if it might have more of a classic 70s style sound for Priest, but of course he didn't stay with them, and they did go with the more modern Priest sound, and I'm not disappointed in it at all. It's really what I expected, but I'm really happy with it. I think it's a really good album. It's got some great songs on it. I hope they can come over and maybe tour next year. From there, a traditional band from a traditional heavy metal band, or a new wave of traditional heavy metal. These guys, Midnight Spell, they're from Florida, and it's just straight up heavy metal mixed with some speed metal. I hear a little bit of everything from Judas Priest to Agent Steel to Dokken and TNT, all kind of mixed into one. Really good, cool songs, catchy songs. I like some of them are super fast, some of them are just traditional riff-oriented songs. The drummer in the band is Brian Wilson, and Brian is currently the drummer in Yngwie Malmsteen's band as well.
wow.
From there, going with these guys are North Carolina-based band. They're called Stone Whiskey. It's a bunch of guys, veterans of the North Carolina scene, have put this band together, and it's straight up hard rock, in the vein of AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Dangerous Toys, Four Horsemen, just good rock and roll, guitar based rock and roll, just raunchy. They got hooks in their songs, really catchy. It's a picture of the guys on the back. Jim Hunter plays bass for him. Jim's in like every band. He's in October 31 and While Heaven Wept and Twisted Tower Dire and so forth. But this is his rock project that he's in now. And this is a really good album. Like I said, it's really solid. And they independently released this, but they do have it on CD and on vinyl that you can get from their website. And that's Stone Whiskey. And they've got several videos out on YouTube they've made for the album as well. I think they're planning to make a video for each song because they've got like 5 or so out already. And then from there, going back to a band that I got into several years ago. This is actually their 6th album, the Night Flight Orchestra.
Okay.
It's Speed from and I think David from Soilwork and Charlie D'Angelo from Arch Enemy. And it's if you've heard of these guys, it's really melodic rock. It's kind of like AOR meets like a little bit of prog, but it's got like killer guitar parts in it. It kind of reminds me of stuff like Alan Parsons Project and Toto. I mean, it's got all kinds of little hooks in their songs, little dance beats in some of their songs, but their songs are so catchy. When I've been into them for a few years now. When they put that Amber Galactic album out, it hooked me, and I've followed them ever since. And this is Aromatic 2 is the name of this one, which just follows up the one from last year called Aromatic, which I didn't think was that great. This one is much better. This one's caught me, and I'm really liking it. It's got a lot of great songs on it.
Tony, you just sold this.
Well,
You just sold that.
Okay, cool.
That's when you said Toto and Parsons, I was like,
Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of stuff that sounds like that kind of stuff on there. And it's amazing. You got guys all in their extreme metal bands making this type of stuff. I don't know if you've seen, there's some concerts of them playing at like some metal festivals over in Europe. And they're just like kind of the odd man out, on the show with what they're doing. But everybody knows the people in the band and stuff. So that always makes it good,
They actually did a song or two on the soundtrack of the Heavy Metal, the Pinball, which I have in the shop. I know that was one of the bands that was listed on there. They're on Nuclear Blast, I believe.
Yeah, their
A
stuff's
lot of
on.
Nuclear Blast got the contract to do that because like Amorphous is in the pinball machine actually.
Mm-hmm. And just a couple of quick mentions, honorable mentions. I really liked this Inhuman Condition album.
For the honorables?
Oh yeah, we can do it. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we'll stick around for the.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so we're gonna move over to Mr. McEntee, and sorry to keep you waiting so long.
Oh, I don't mind at all. Oh, I'm just joking. Okay, well, I guess, there's actually is a lot of good records that I thought came out in the last couple months. It's just like the more I dig into it, the more I find great stuff, and it's actually a little too much to even digest all before the show.
Yeah.
I kind of had some, I had like kind of my go-tos, and then I said, well, let me just check this out. I'm like, crap, this actually sounds good. Like, it's been pretty insane. But anyway, for me, one of my favorites releases is the new At the Gates album.
Oh wow, yeah.
I just love At the Gates. I just think they're a great band. I think they're criminally underrated, because they basically started like a whole genre of really lame metal, but they're not lame. That's what was always great about At the Gates. At the Gates did it like properly, Yeah, it's awesome. And they still continue to do that, their style. I like this album because it actually brings me back even to like before before they got popular, before, what was it, I can't think of the album.
Born of the Soul.
Yeah, that it's like, even the earlier stuff, it was like actually more experimental than that was like their most probably commercial album that they did, and it helped them out. It got them to a really high level, and then they break up, which is such a bummer. And then like all these other bands that were playing other styles of music decided to throw in that same style as At the Gates, and they took it and they did it absolutely lame. Like but people loved it, because it had that kind of that happy harmony sound to it and that skipping to the riffing and stuff. But to me, man, almost every band that sounds like At the Gates, I just don't like if I think it sounds like At the Gates. But I love At the Gates, and I love the way this album just sounds like it has experimental stuff on it,
Oh, it
which
definitely does.
most bands I would totally be like, this is so lame, But in the context of the album, it really makes sense. They're what I think it is that they're real leaders of the pack for their style. And when they do this stuff, it just sounds really honest. It doesn't sound, you could tell that they're adding stuff in there that is not like that me say what people might want to just hear. It's stuff that they think crafts the songs properly. And I just respect that a lot with At the Gates. And I love the band. I just, every time I'm excited to see them play, and they're always just kick ass live. They're really one of the best of, I don't know, I guess I would consider it like kind of commercial death metal, I guess. I don't really consider them commercial death metal, but commercial death metal kind of came to them, I think, I guess is the right way to put it. So yeah, that's my number 5. Yeah, I think it's a great album. My number 4, which is not 100% in order, but it's the Inhuman Condition.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's a great album. I mean, I know it's controversial because it was supposed to be the Massacre album, and there's always drama in the Massacre camp, So obviously this album got scrapped for some reason. I mean, I think it's a great album. I haven't listened to the new Massacre album, but I really don't care. For me, I'm happy if there's 2 albums that
Mhm.
sound in that Massacre style, even if they're with different bands, different lineups. I'm still happy. So it's all good for me. It's kind of like enjoying Venom Inc. and Venom, because it's all
Yeah.
good. It's
Mhm.
like more Venom to enjoy. It's more
For Priest
kind of
and
Massacre
KK's
influence.
Priest, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So I look at it as a benefit, and but Inhuman Condition, I think it's just great. It's this great, straightforward death metal. It's just old school. A theme you'll hear probably with a lot of my picks that I choose. It just brings me back to like the '80s and that vibe of just, you just want to listen to death metal to kind of be driving, kind of kick your butt, just straightforward. It doesn't always have to be this, big, huge production or super fancy. It could just, be ass kicking. So yeah, and Inhuman Condition is definitely, if you're into old school death metal, a Massacre. Basically, if you're into Massacre or early Death or something like that, I think you'll really like it. So it's definitely worth checking out. Another,
The hell is that?
you okay?
Sound like a bomb went on here. I don't know what the hell. Did you
Oh,
hear that? That was our special effects speaking for you again.
Okay.
And here.
Well, this next band is a band that I don't remember how I came across it, but I came across it totally by accident. It's a band called Convent. It's really another great. It's like a doom metal band. It's on Napalm Records, and
Okay.
you
Like,
know, I mean, usually Records doesn't have stuff that's really in my lane, but lately they've been getting more stuff that I've been kind of interested in. And this Convent band is really good. It's like it reminds me of very old school doom metal, but it has some of that like upbeat of I don't know I would compare it to like old Paradise Lost, or really, really early My Dying Bride.
Ooh.
Maybe a band like Sempiternal Pandemonium. Sempiternal Pan, it's our song. Sempiternal Death, something. I know, I can't even remember. I like name my own song. But basically, it has like, it just has that killer vibe. Maybe, I don't know, just something. It sounds like it could have came out in like maybe 92 or 93 or something, with like just when I thought those kind of atmospheric doom bands were in the sweet spot before they got too far away and started like over experimenting and stuff. A lot of those bands kind of lost me, but this band is just really, really killer. You know, really killer. Um, doom metal mixture with like mid tempo stuff. Really good headbanging music. Um, yeah, and the album's called Puritan Masochism. Definitely worth checking out if you're into that style of stuff. It was a surprise for me. I was really blown away when I just that first song on there. I can't remember what it's called offhand. Oh, it's a pure. Okay, it's a Puritan Masochism. It just hit me right off the bat. It was just one of those, like, it had like that vibe. I don't know, like an old Celtic Frost or something. It's like dun 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 dun. Just a killer. It was just killer. It was really great. It easily could have been my top pick. It's so difficult because there's been so many great releases, like I said. Okay, well then my number two is this one. Go Ahead and Die.
Oh,
I
wow,
don't know if you
yeah.
guys heard that one.
Cavalera, Father.
I haven't
Time.
heard it, but
Yeah,
I've got it for sale in the shop.
yeah, it's Max Cavalera and Amadeus Cavalera, and it's fucking good. It reminds me of like we'll say mid to late 80s South American style, like a little bit of that really old Sepultura, like Morbid Visions kind of stuff, or even the EP, or some of the other early bands. There's parts that remind me of like Cogmello bands, like what do you call it, like Chakul, or
Mhm.
all those like really those. Well, I guess they're considered like really culty Brazilian bands. It has that vibe, but then it also has like a hardcore vibe to it almost, but
Yeah.
like a punkish hardcore vibe to it, but in that proper context. Like it doesn't sound forced, doesn't sound like, oh crap, that's the hardcore part. It just has like an attitude through it. Like how you know it's a kind of a signature of Max Cavalera having that real attitude while singing, where you just want to be like, fuck you, kind of thing. And his son has the same kind of like vibe to his voice. It seems like he really digs that old school you know I it's they call it like a kind of a hardcore thrash, but I consider it like an early death metal mixed with hardcore thrash. It's kind of like that those awkward stages of thrash, death metal, and hardcore mix, because they really kind of all form death metal in a way. And this is kind of like in those growing pain eras. And it's so great to hear a release that has that hate to it, like Denny was saying, it's like it makes you want to light a car on fire, just smash something. It gives you that old school feeling of like going out, just drinking and just being like, fuck yeah, let's fucking kill some posers or something. It just
Kill
has a really
posers. Uh-oh.
yeah.
I gotta bring that up again. All right.
Yeah,
Can we
yeah,
still say kill posers, or is that probably not politically correct enough
yeah.
anymore?
Okay, we'll have to fix that editing. Yeah.
We might
Anyway,
get cancel culture on us for that, killing posers.
yeah.
We already got rid of a couple of those guys from the channel, unfortunately.
But anyway, yeah, I mean that's a great album. If you're into, I mean, I think anybody that's into like thrash probably either knows it or is checking it out. But I think it's worth giving a listen to because it's just good. It's just a really good album. For me, it just gives me that vibe, that vibe of just total pissed off hate, and it brings me back to like when I was a teenager in the '80s, just like hating the world and just
Mhm.
wanting to listen to music to tell people to piss off. And I mean that's just a great thing. So anyway, my number one has to be KK's Priest. I mean,
Oh,
I just
wow.
love this album. I love
Wow.
this
I'm
album.
a little shocked, actually.
It's such a good album. But I'm a huge fan of what was it, Jugulator. I thought Jugulator was
Okay.
such a good album. I mean, I would it was criminal. I thought that it didn't do as well as some of the other Judas Priest albums, especially, like, I mean, Painkiller is a great album, but Jugulator is a monster of an album. That's such amazing riffs. It's thick as hell. The vocals are amazing. I mean, I mean, I understand he's not Rob Halford, in Priest, but he's still great. It's not, I'm not taking anything away
Singer.
from Rob Halford. I love Rob Halford's vocals, and so this album anyway, I mean, I listen to it a lot. I love every song on that album. It just brings me back totally to the old school. I would actually say that it reminds me of Priest mixed from say like 80 until like Ripper time or something like
Yeah.
that. There's moments that kind of remind me. It just brings me back to those times. And I know it's going to be controversial, but I think this album might be the best Judas Priest album since probably Jugulator, in my opinion.
Really? Yeah,
mean,
that's
I love
controversial.
I think Judas Priest put out some pretty good albums, but this album is just a winner to me. It's just you can
It's
just
hard.
tell
It's
there's a
hard
lot
to.
of
It's hard not to credit Firepower though. That's a really
it's a great
strong.
It is a
album
good
too.
album.
Yeah.
I know Firepower is close, but I find
Okay.
myself
Hey,
listening to
that's your point of
like
view. Yeah, for
like
sure.
we'll say all the ones since Rob Halford's been back, and I love Rob Halford, and I think
Sure.
I'm happy that he's back. None of those albums I've listened to a lot. Like I would listen to it, be like, oh yeah, it's cool, or yeah, that's a good song. It's a good song. But this album, I'm listening to it like all the time, repeat. Really
I
checking it out, enjoying it. So
I actually
I
took my first listen to it yesterday because I saw some people slagging it. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I do too.
I know.
but I've also seen people slagging the At the Gates. Like I listened to that and I threw it down. It was just the worst thing ever. There's horns in it.
I heard people saying that the lyrics were really cheesy, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah. I think
have
that
you
was
have
on
you have
on
you
the
listened to old Judas Priest lyrics? I mean, some of those are pretty
parental
cheesy as
guidance.
well, but hey, it's cool.
Who
It's
cares? I mean,
metal and cheese can go together. I mean, that's why we
Well,
love
yeah,
metal.
it's supposed to be.
well, I mean,
Yeah,
let's be
I
honest. You
don't.
listen to music because it's enjoyable and it's fun.
Yeah,
It doesn't all have to
totally.
be serious. It doesn't have to be about serious topics.
Mhm.
Actually, I prefer it to be about stuff that isn't so serious and just fun.
Yeah, we need some
It's great.
Yeah,
non-serious shit. There's enough
It's
exactly.
great to
serious.
just listen to an album that's just like it's just a great heavy
It's
metal album. The riffs
it's
are great, the harmonies are great, the solos are great, the vocals are great. Everything is great on the album. The songs are really fun to listen to. I've
like
listened to it over and over again.
Hellfire Thunderbolt. That's a
I
metal
think it's
song. That's a
great. I
metal
mean,
name. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's metal is for me, it's most important thing is I listen to it and enjoy it and want to
Yeah.
listen to it again. And that's KK's Priest. I think it's definitely going to be a contender for album of the year. It's
Wow.
really tough because there's so much great stuff that came out this year, but you know, that album is that album's a monster, I think, it's
I'm,
definitely, I mean, if you're a Priest fan and you don't listen to it and enjoy it, I mean, can you really be a Priest fan? I mean, Firepower is a great album, but
it is.
are those lyrics so damn serious that you're like,
No,
holy crap, KK's Priest's lyrics are cheesy? No,
it's similar in lyrics
yeah, it's the
content. I'd
same
say.
thing. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe you don't like maybe you just don't like Priest anymore. I mean,
Priest,
so whatever. But anyway, yeah,
Ripper's back.
I think talking about Ripper really quickly is that this is probably Ripper's best performance since Jugulator on a release that at least I don't follow his career say
He,
so much, but I've heard some of the Ingve
yeah.
stuff he's done. I have a couple things here and there, and it never sounded as good as he was with Priest. Priest just seems like that's a sweet spot, and I think
You could do. You
KK
could do
Downing
an.
was what's that?
We could do an episode just on Ripper and try to figure out how many different bands he was in. Maybe Tony could help us out with that
Yeah,
next time. But
I think
I think he just. I agree with you. He just, to me, he just spread himself too thin. I mean, he's in a band was in a band with Caffrey, one of our
yeah.
local guys and regulars, Spirits of Fire. And when that album came out, there was another album came out the same day. He released two records on the same day of two different bands. I think it's just spreading yourself too thin. That's my only thing with Ripper. But
Yeah,
Got
but
to
I
get
think
paid.
but oh yeah,
hmm,
but KK was smart to get the Ripper. I think because
I
it
think so
sounds
too.
you listen to it, it sounds familiar, and regardless of how I mean, Judas Priest was great. I just seen him play live. It was an awesome show. It
Yeah.
sounded great. I mean, yeah, I had a couple things I wasn't excited about. Some of the solos being changed a little bit, but that's just 'cause I'm a stickler. But overall, the show was great. They sounded awesome. But I wouldn't expect nothing less from KK Downing than a awesome album. So
And you
this
two
is
North Carolina guys were lucky enough to see the Judas Priest tour, because the ones that were waiting up here in the Northeast did not get to see it unless they went to the Reading, PA show, which a friend of mine did.
yeah.
So,
Were they supposed to come, but because of the medical
yeah,
issues?
well, because of the heart attack or the heart issue with
Yeah.
the.
That's an amazing story as well. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's
It's
great.
crazy,
It's
right?
great that he made
Mm.
it, through that.
Yeah.
That's just
That tour made it to like Denver, and then it was gonna loop around, and it was supposed to be Ralph was supposed to, or and Nick was supposed to be here soon. I think end of October, mid October, maybe. I think so.
But anyway,
Anyhow,
if you're a metalhead, you should buy the KK's Priest album just because you're a metalhead and your collection should not be complete without, you know,
it's an
supporting one
entertaining
of the
album.
most
I just got
important
my
It
guitar
first
is.
listen
players
to
in
it
metal
yesterday.
history.
It is.
You know, I mean that's just my opinion on it. But
Yeah,
yeah, so that's it for me. And then I have some honorable mentions that
we'll
I
loop
feel
around
really
for that.
strongly
I
about
guess.
too.
I guess I'll start off with mine.
Yep.
And I think the more we talk about KK's Priest, it probably should be in my top five. But I'm gonna and I just listened to it first time yesterday. I'm going with an album that no one here may even like but me. Powerwolf, a German power metal band. They become
Yeah.
quite huge in the last few years. Very polished, very in kind of in a mode of like Sabaton stuff like that. Very theatrical. And I don't know if I like it as much as the last album, but "Faster Than the Flame" is one of the songs I was digging a lot. And this is like a band that like every song is catchy, and it's almost dancey. It's a good power metal record, but it's more than power metal. It's almost like symphonic metal at times. And that never come to the United States. Uh, Maybe that'll change. Then to Mexico, but in Europe, they're headliners. They headline festivals and everything else, but they're kind of quiet in the States. But Powerwolf with and that was their eighth studio album. Dancing with the Dead is a video you can check out on YouTube. My number three is going to be something that John mentioned, and I was afraid to mention this because I've had customers yelling about it and saying it's an awful record, and it's At the Gates. They've changed a little bit. I mean, I love the last album. I really love the single "To Drink from the Night" itself. It was like my theme song when we were going to shows in the city and everything. It's like, we're going out and we're going to have a great time. We're going to see the bands, go out to dinner and drink some beers and act like Nik Franco does. To drink from the night itself. But new album has a lot of changes. There's a lot of progressive elements on it. But yet it has a dark atmosphere, but you can still tell it's At the Gates. And Spectre of Extinction, Paradox, which is a video single. The Gates of Cyrus is where it gets really proggy, and it has like the saxophone. And The Fall of Time, I think, is just an epic. I love that song. Cult of Salvation is really good. But I think the best song is the Cosmic Pessimism. I think that's but it's a solid listen all the way through.
Yeah.
And I never listen to singles. I mean, if I'm flipping through YouTube, I'll watch the videos. But if I'm in the car and this is in, I'm going to listen to the whole album like anything else, which I've said a million times.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up something though with At the Gates that I wanted to bring up when we were talking about it. Is I know it has its progressive parts. I mean, it has a saxophone and some other stuff,
A little trippy at
some
times.
jazzy parts or
Yes.
whatever. But if anybody really knows the band and knows the band from the Red in the Sky Is Ours time, they were very progressive on that album, and
Mhm.
it had violin on that album and stuff. I mean,
Like people kind of forgot that far back, John.
yeah,
Yeah.
most people, it was Slaughter of Souls. Maybe they go back to the term
Or maybe never even visited those records. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when you know At the Gates first came out that they were, they were a not so easy to get into band. It was like we really
Yeah.
weird and abstract and different. I mean, it had still some killer songs on the first one, like Kingdom Gone and a couple other ones. But I mean, generally the album was really progressive. So it's kind of weird that when listening to the new one and people complaining about it's progressive, it's like they're really only going
I
back
got
to their
horns.
roots and maybe extending a little bit. But yeah, I just think you know, people just want to hear him do Slaughter of the Souls again, and
Yeah, that's what they just want to. Yeah,
just be
probably what they're
happy that
looking
that
for.
album exists. And the band has to move on. And there's lots of parts that do sound like that
Yeah,
have that kind of vibe on it. It's just that they wander off into other things. But I mean,
the
so
specter of extinction is freaking. I love that. That's nasty.
you get either people that are going to complain that you
Well, they
change
can.
too much or not change enough. It's like people, if they did Slaughter of the Souls for every single album after that,
Then
people would
they'd be
say,
like,
oh,
ah, it's the same old thing.
so yeah, so you can't
Yeah.
win. You either like it or you don't like it. I mean, I like the band, and
Mm.
they've never done anything that I thought was too far. I could see this one being, say, a little further out of the box than
Yeah.
some of the other ones in recent years, but still it wasn't really a surprise. And to me, in context, it worked.
Well put. All right, so I'm gonna move on to my number. That's good. Not really in order, but we talked about this on last week's episode where we were talking about the new Iron Maiden and the new Halloween. So far, no one's mentioned Iron Maiden on this show. I don't know what's going on here. Even
Yes.
Nick likes
Only
it.
because we talked about it last
We
week.
talked about it last week. Yeah, you were on. So, all right. I thought you already threw him under the bus, but I'm going to talk about something we talked about last week. I'm talking about the Halloween because I love this album. It's got all three vocalists from the time period of bringing back Michael, bringing back Kai, and polished, catchy, great stuff. I mean, indestructible, the epic Skyfall, mass pollution, best time, which is like the most positive song I may have ever heard in recent time. And it's really hard for me to say one of the best time of my life in 2021 because I'm really not, but I'm making the best of it. But the Halloween is something maybe some people didn't watch last week, but I think it's just epic. And we were built up to this album in the last few years. Those that got to see the Pumpkins United tour when they brought everybody back, and it's got the dueling vocalists. So it's like Michael going back and forth with Andy and Kai, and then of course that triple guitar attack. And I think it's the best thing they've done since the 80s. I mean, Better Than Raw is a great album also, but Halloween is right there.
I
No
wanted to
one's
bring
mentioned
something
this.
up with that, if you don't mind.
What's that?
I wanted to bring something up about the Halloween album because since I
Yeah.
wasn't on that episode, it just made me think about it after watching it.
Okay.
Is I could see totally. I mean, I didn't listen to it all the way through because I just am not a Halloween fan.
You're not a Halloween guy, eh?
I liked them at Walls of Jericho. That was the only thing I ever liked by them, but or that EP before it. But the thing
Oh,
is
that
though,
EP
is
is great. That EP is great.
I could totally see why people would really like it. I mean, anyone that's into that kind of, I guess it's considered, is it power metal? I don't know what
It's
it's called.
power, like
Like happy power
speed.
metal or something.
They
Yeah.
hybridized speed metal and power metal in a
Yeah.
good way. Yeah.
But I could totally see why people like it because I mean, it's a great sounding album. Yeah, it's great that they have the different vocalists in it. It just for me, it's just impossible to give it a fair judgment because I really, really, really don't like anything past Walls of Jericho. It's way too happy.
It was too
they
happy
lost
for a death metal
lost it.
guy.
No, I mean, yeah, I guess I want to be an elitist. I could say that, but I'd like happy.
You
I don't
have to
mind
have some
happy
elitist
stuff,
standard.
but I'll take the the shutdown. But I never liked what was it, that guy, whoever played after Walls of Jericho, the guy that kind of sounded like trying to be
Andy?
like a happy Bruce Dickinson.
Michael Kiske.
Yeah, he just,
Oh yeah. No,
great
not
vocalist,
the
but
Walls, no.
I just don't like that stuff. It's just too. It was like when that stuff came out, like there was like Carcass Reputrefaction coming.
You
out.
had already moved to the heavier stuff, which
Yeah,
which
just
a
wasn't
lot of us have
interested
talked
in-
about with certain things. I dropped off Halloween after the Keys albums, and I never looked back until I got tickets to see Pumpkins United. And at that time, I was going to every show in the city. And I don't know, and maybe Nick or someone taught me into going. And then I realized, oh yeah, well, I know that song. I know that song. But and everybody was raving how great Halloween was live, and it was all three vocals. So let's go. And I started revisiting all these albums. I mean, there was probably 15 albums I never listened to, and there were some really strong tracks on a lot of them that I liked. And it was that fall I was listening to Halloween because I was like, oh, well, let me get this album, Master of the Rings. I never had, or this and that. But strong record, I think, in general, if you like that type of thing. And not everybody's cup of tea, but if you
They're
like
the only happy band. They're the only. I sometimes, because I
even
love it, and I'm like, this is so much more happy than I like, but it works with them because I hate happy.
that's what Scow says too, because Scow doesn't like happy at all, but he loves it.
Yeah.
The thing I
I'm with
respect
John on,
Halloween a
I'm with
lot.
John on
Oh,
this.
good. Good.
Ralph's not a Halloween guy.
Nah, by the time they were hit, I thought they were all right, but I was already into like Frost and Venom and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So when it came out, it
that
was
happens.
good power metal stuff, but it just never went out of my way for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that the new album's decent, but I never
Yeah.
went out of my way for them.
But to be fair,
It's
I have a lot of.
definitely
Oh, God.
good metal. Go ahead, John.
No, I was
Sorry.
gonna say I do have a lot of respect for them though, because they really created something that really sparked a lot of bands. I mean, they're very influential to almost like I remember late 90s, all of a sudden, like everybody wanted to be Halloween. Like
Hammerfall.
like Nuclear Blast was just putting out all these
Hammerfall, yeah.
all
Yeah.
these bands, and I
Yeah,
never,
John.
I mean, it was torture for me because I hated Halloween.
Oh, poor
I
John.
used to have a guy that worked at Nuclear Blast America that would purposely send me like all these Halloween sounding bands because he knew I would hate it.
You should have
Send me-
just forwarded them over to me, John. I would have took them.
Yeah, at that time, John, they made Better Than Raw in 1998, which is, I think, like when it's all said and done, like that's up there with Walls of Jericho as my favorite
That's a
two Halloween
blaster.
albums. And Better Than Raw is more speed metal and more double bass, like super, super heavy dueling guitars,
Yeah.
and not quite as sing-songy happy as the other stuff. So that's probably what created that surge that you're talking about. It was Better
Yeah,
Than Raw.
it was just the weirdest thing, but you have to respect the band that kind
80s
of
metal.
creates a genre. I mean, they're the kings of like happy, whatever you call it, happy power metal stuff.
Other than Manowar, maybe? No.
Well, Manowar, yeah, but it's a
Fighting
little
metal?
different. Even though a
More
lot of people that like
battle.
Manowar would like Halloween, they're different.
Yeah, I
It's
like
a
them
little-
both. Well, anyhow, let me move on to
Okay.
my number one
sorry about
before
that.
we'll talk about Halloween. The Halloween episode. Well, I'm going on with it's not even maybe my number one, this is my top five. This is a band called Unto Others. It's entitled Strength. I only have the CD because I cannot get the vinyl. I think Pete, I might not be. I mean, Nick, you just saw them in Vegas, right?
Yeah, they were incredible.
And
They were called Idle Hands.
yeah,
at
they're the
once.
band formerly known as Idle Hands. They had to change it. I guess there was another band that sued them that had the same name. They were running with that name for a couple of years. I know Gabe pretty well, and I've had him on the channel, and I bought merchandise from him for the store. And they were formed in Portland, Oregon in 2017. And some may be familiar with them as the opening act on the 2019 King Diamond, Uncle Acid, and the Deadbeats tour.
That's when I saw them.
Yeah, and they were the first band on, and they
They're
were
great.
and they were
Band with the female
scheduled.
vocalist.
No
that opened
female
up for 'em?
vocalist.
Mhm.
He's got a very check him out. You may hate it, you may like it. It's definitely a little different. He has a really distinct voice, a very powerful voice. But they were also scheduled to be on the ill-fated Decibel Music tour with the Mayhem Abbott tour, which was going on, which I think they were in the States and they were driving to a gig when the pandemic broke out. And I really like everything about this band. Mana their last album. I had like my not one or two album of the 2019 year, and some of the tracks that stick out are Destiny, Heroin, Why Will, and When Will the God's Work Be Done, and Why is a good tune. The one song I least like on here, which some people might like, is they do a cover of Pat Benatar's
Hell is for children.
Hell is for Children, but
Yeah.
I
That
don't
was
know,
good.
that one is my least favorite from the album. Sometimes I really dig covers by the bands, and I don't know.
Yeah. I thought it was good. Yeah. They're actually touring. They're coming through in November because they're coming through North Carolina. They're playing
Oh, cool.
506. John, actually.
You're gonna catch them.
Yeah, they're touring with a band called Bloodstar that I've seen a couple times as
Okay.
well. Yeah. But yeah, they were great when they opened for King Diamond. I enjoyed them. I need to check that new album out because I really liked what it sounded like. I mean, kind of reminded me a little bit of Paradise Lost, a little bit like the
Yeah,
maybe
I don't know.
Draconian Times period or something.
Guy can sing his ass off, and I remember actually Lynn Verace, who's a regular on Hudson Valley Squares, was standing next to me and Mike from the Chance watching that show, and she loved them that night. And I'm like, they look 80s on stage, almost like a glam metal band a little bit. And I told Gabe, I said, you were like looking like Jim Morrison on stage. He has like the glasses.
Yeah,
Kind of stands there. And I said, he looked like a Morrison. He was like kind of channeling that. And he's
very
like, I
much.
don't know if I've, I told him that when I was interviewing him. But they had a
Yeah.
great stage presence. And that's one of the reasons I went to that show, because I liked them so much. And I was buying merch from them. And I was like, oh, you guys are coming around? He goes, yeah, we're going to be in Brooklyn in November. So I'm figuring like they're going to be at St. Vitus, or they're going to be, at one of the small clubs. And all of a sudden I'm like,
I think they're playing the
King
same
Diamond
night.
tour.
Keeler, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're playing the same night as Overkill and Demolition Hammer.
All around here.
So I'm gonna have to kill myself
Mhm.
because I really want to see Demolition Hammer so bad.
So we're already back at that. First, we didn't have any shows for fucking 18 months, and now we're gonna have same shows, same night shit.
Conflict.
The fucking life problems we have.
Yeah.
Jack's like, all right, can I drive to Baltimore this night and then come back up and see all that stuff?
And can you believe the devastation of the nation with Rotting Christ is coming back, and it's still playing at St. Vitus? That needs to be at a bigger venue in Manhattan. I'm sorry. I love St. Vitus, but that tour should be at a place, even for the band's sake, where they can sell more merch and have a bigger
Yeah.
crowd, like at least
I love
Irving or
Like the Warsaw
Gramercy or something.
like that, at least.
I'll be front and center no matter if they play in my closet. I'll
Yeah,
be
but
there.
if you remember last time, they had it at another show. They were doing like the old like 1960s, 70s bands were doing a 7 o'clock show, and they were going on again at 11 that night.
Yeah.
Remember?
Can't do that with that tour. It's too many bands.
They
Yeah.
did it. They did it last time. I had tickets
Really?
for both. That was that weekend of that damn pandemic coming in and shutting everything down.
Wow.
That was that, and the day after that was the Mayhem, Abbott, and Idle Hands, and I think Gatecreeper was on that too. I forget and that was a crazy night because Tyr was in the city also that Friday night. You remember that, Nick?
I do. I think I was at that one.
I don't think any of them happened. It was the first weekend of
Oh.
April. Everything was shut already. Yeah.
Yep, everything got shut.
Anyhow, so I don't really have too many honorable mentions other than ones that people had mentioned already. I mean, I'll mention the Iron Maiden. It's slowly growing on me. It's just not my favorite Maiden thing. I have the Dora Warlock live.
Want to get that?
You didn't get it with the little figure. You said the figure wasn't too. I thought you had.
No, that figure looks horrible. I saw it online.
And the KK's Priest I'll mention, and the Black Sabbath Technical Ecstasy box set, and the Carcass record, of course. Those are my honorable mentions. So now we're going to loop around. Ralph, your honorable. Let's go through this and we'll get it wrapped up.
First, I got the Motorhead, Louder Than Noise.
Okay.
It's been gone for a while, but they keep finding these recordings, and just
Sure.
comes with a DVD too. And I'll buy a new one every 6 months. I've been getting all the reissues because they come with live discs, and it's always great with Motorhead. Sarithongal.
Mm,
That's good.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that came out this year.
4 old songs that they resurrected. They never were properly put on in any of their discography, so they resurrected them and re-recorded them, and really good stuff. It sounds like the old school shit. This is Alice Cooper's Detroit Stories.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
a little something not as heavy, but they got some the old members play on that. A lot of special guests. Of course, the new Maiden. I had it as an honorable mention. I know you guys did that great show on it the other day.
Did you watch?
Yeah, I watched that. And then the Dark Throne.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The only thing weird about this is how much he sounds like Tom Warrior, the way he sings on it. But
Yeah,
definitely
totally.
the more I listen to it, the better it is.
Mm.
And growing on me, I'm liking it a lot better. And the I Hate God, the new album.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Monotonous at times, but I've been listening to it a lot because I got that show coming up. And the Gate Creeper,
Okay. Yep, that one.
Good one.
For
That's
sure.
good. I like
really
that
good
one.
pummeling album. A lot of fast, short songs. Yeah, and I guess that was it. But mentioning really quick about that Demolition Hammer Overkill show, everything got locked down like 2 days before that show was
That was
supposed to
right
happen.
around that same time period. Yeah.
We were
Yep.
like crossing our fingers, and it was like 2 days away, and then it got shut down. So now we're finally getting that show back next month, and me and Jay got tickets for that. And
Oh.
MOD and X Order were supposed to be on the bill, and they're off the bill now. Some band Sworn Enemy is on the bill now instead.
I was sworn
But
enemy,
Demolition
the
Hammer
New
is
York
on.
hardcore guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
it.
All right. So who went next? I guess it was Nick, right?
yeah.
Got any
Um,
mentions, or-
Yeah, oh, the Unto Others for sure. It's great. Really catchy. I love it. Let's see. I don't know if you guys have heard the band Portrait from Sweden.
I have. I interviewed them actually. Yes.
Yep, at One with None. He sings kind of like in a. They love Merciful Fate and Judas
Oh,
Priest,
yeah.
but they do it well. They're really good. What else? Let's see. Esa Holopainen from Amorphous. He did an album called Silver Lake, a solo album, and he's got all different vocalists on it. Again, like everybody was home chilling, so he took advantage of that. And the Catatonia vocalist.
Man, I haven't heard that yet. I need to hear that.
Guess there's some older Finnish guy that's just got this really robust, awesome voice. It's mostly like 80s rock. Some of the songs are a little more like heavy. He's got a Bjorn from what's his name from Soilwork, right? Bjorn.
He-
Yeah,
Yeah.
Soilwork singer. Yeah, it's really good album. He's got the guy from Lepers who's got a really like a high pitched kind of voice, poppy, unexpected, kind of a all over the place album. I thought it was really good. What else? New Moonspell. I'll talk about it toward the end of the year. I love Moonspell. And a little controversial, but the new Graveland is amazing. Hour of Ragnarok. What else? Nervosa I liked, and of course Iron Maiden and Halloween. And I got a whole shitload of black metal on here that nobody's heard of. That's really good. Like Not Verd and Ungfell. Just check them out. Really good.
I forgot to show this one. The Catatonia, which is all B-sides and rare stuff that just came out. And somebody
Yeah.
looked at it quick. They go, "Wow, it looks like they thought that it was Screaming for Vengeance." It's an album cover, but it's a crow getting screamed through the air instead of the eagle. All right, so,
So I guess
Tony, I
Tony-
guess, right?
Yeah, Tony's.
Yeah, we're talking about the honorable mentions.
Yeah.
The Inhuman Condition that John was talking about. We saw them not long ago. It's killer. It's just old school death metal,
Mr. Terry Butler.
Florida style death metal, thrash, kind of thrash influenced, the early days. That's my favorite kind of death metal stuff. Really digging that. I liked the Smith Kotzen album that came out. I like this better than the Iron Maiden, actually. It's
Okay.
just good hard rock, kind of modern feel to it. It's amazing how much Richie Kotzen sounds like Chris Cornell at times. But he's a really good singer, and I really like his style of playing too. He's a great guitar player. He and Adrian, they do some really good stuff together. Several people mentioned the Dark Throne. I really liked it. I thought it was really cool. If I want to hear something super freaking heavy, this is it. And I heard someone describe it as Black Sabbath meets Celtic Frost in a cave. And
That's a good
what
one.
it is, you know.
I like that.
There's a band from England that I dig called The Treatment. Some young guys doing rock and roll, straight up rock and roll, kind of, you know, junkyard influenced a little bit, GNR. These guys, they ended up, they opened up for Kiss and Motley Crue, I think they did a tour together, and they were the opening band back, I think it was 2012, and I saw them and I got turned on to them. So these guys just a good rock and roll band. It's produced by Laurie Mansworth, whose son is the drummer in the band. And Laurie was in the new wave of British metal band More, and he was in the AOR band Eris that had Jason Bonham in it. So
Okay.
so like I said, he's kind of behind these guys and been, I think this is their 5th album or their 6th album now. And another honorable mention, there's a band called Temple Balls they're a stupid name, but it calls Temple Balls. They're one of the Frontiers bands, kind of melodic hard rock band. I don't actually have a hard copy of that yet. I've just been listening to a download of it. It's pretty cool stuff. And looking forward to, I have listened to some of the Halloween. Steve kept pushing, listen to that new Halloween. And I like what I've heard of it. It hasn't grown on me and just like blown me away, but it is the best thing I've heard from them in years, because I did like their early stuff in the Keepers era and stuff. And I loved Walls of Jericho. So having Kai back and Michael back and all, it's really cool. So I do like parts of that, what I've heard of it. And looking forward to checking out the new Carcass record. I hadn't heard that yet.
Okay.
And, it's just stuff coming out all the time you can discover. I was listening to something on one of the YouTube channels tonight, some band called from Austria called Road Wolf. And I was like, this is this kick-ass heavy metal, straight up heavy metal. I was digging that early tonight. I was like, I got to check into those guys. So yeah, so there's always stuff coming out, and there's stuff, always on the horizon to check out. And it's good that we have stuff like this we can discuss and kind of pick each other's brains when you've got all this stuff out to check out nowadays.
Hell yeah.
It's definitely a good time. And of course, we're going to wrap around at the end of the year here, and we'll pick our favorite albums from the whole year. So we'll get a few guys together for that one. That'll be fun around the Christmas time, the holidays. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the Omnium Gathering, which is an older album, but they have an album ready to drop in November. And there was a new Insomnium. I actually forgot about that just came out. I think that was an EP though, right?
Yeah, EP.
Okay, so we'll move over to John and we'll wrap this thing up. John, your mic's off. I can't hear you.
Yo, you there?
There you are. Yeah,
Okay.
we hear you now.
Cool. The one of them is the new Crypto.
Yeah.
It's a good album. It's definitely a good. It has like well, everyone's probably heard it already. Kind of know what it sounds like. It's definitely a good record. I was happy to hear that it worked out good after the split with the band and stuff.
They both put out pretty strong records, like Ralph had mentioned. I agree.
Yeah. The Crypto actually to me sounds a little more European, and the Nervosa sounds a little more Brazilian, in my opinion. Which is good that it's not. They didn't end up being exactly the same.
There they are.
And then another one. It's an EP. It's a brand new EP. I didn't get my copy of it yet, but it's by this newer death metal band called Creeping Death. It's the Edge of Existence EP. I heard that. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. I'm not to be a dick. I heard their other full length, and it was good, but it was not something that like I was like, holy crap, I gotta really dig.
John, they were one of the highlights of Cypher Las Vegas.
Oh, really?
They were so good. They sound like kids playing bolt thrower, like they like keeping it going.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so good mention. I meant to mention that.
Yeah, Yeah, I never got to see him play live, but I just heard that EP and I was blown away by it. I was really, really surprised because I heard, like I said, I heard their other album. I can't think of the name of it at the moment, but it just wasn't like it wasn't bad. It just wasn't like wow, because a lot of old school bands, you hear old school death metal bands, it's like, yeah, it's good, but it's not amazing. But something on this one is just fucking great. Holy crap. It's if you're into old school death metal, say anywhere from like the late 80s to early 90s, this could easily fit in with any of the releases from that time. It's really good. I'm really looking forward to their next album if they follow in those same path that they're going on, so. And my final one, which is I actually really, really, really like this album. It's the new Iron Maiden. I think it's a great album. It's just that there's been so many great albums that it was a little low on the
Okay.
list, and I like to give other bands an option. But this is the first Iron Maiden album in 20 years that I think I listened to fully without like
Wow.
falling asleep, because I love Brave New World. I think that's an amazing album, but
Yeah, that
everything
is.
after that, it's boring as fuck. I mean,
Really?
it everything after that, I remember was it Chris Allo was saying that this album was boring or whatever. I think of that of every Iron Maiden album past Brave New World. It just they would have maybe a moment here and there that was good, but I just couldn't deal with I can't deal with every single song on all those albums having the bass intro for like 5 minutes, then having the song for 19 minutes, and then another outro, like telling you about the song that you just heard. When it's just end the song, we know what happened. We were listening to it for like 20 minutes already, like
Good
because
description.
it's true though, he's always just like he always just goes to the nice little part at the end, and it's just kind of like wraps it up in a nice bow. It's like, no, we don't need that. I mean, I love Bruce Dickinson and Steve Harris are amazing, but it's like, you don't need to walk us through it that much, It's like it's out of control. But yeah, I mean, yeah, to be fair, I mean that you know what was it? The worst one I might have been is the Final Frontier. I actually that was the only other Iron Maiden album I bought was Final Frontier. And I just felt good about it because I liked that first song. Oh, I think it was like
Her song was good, yeah.
I can't remember what the first song was.
Colorado.
Yeah, like, I haven't listened to that album since then. But since like a
Grew on
couple
me.
times, because I would just be so lame afterwards. And that Book of Souls, holy crap, that was the most boring fucking thing ever.
Yeah, I
It's like,
just agree.
I never listened to that album all the way through. It's just impossible. I
I was
listened
fell
to it.
asleep driving.
I would listen. Yeah, I would listen. Yeah, I would listen to like the first couple songs, and it would just you'd be like, "Is it over yet? Is it over yet?" And then it would
Yeah.
still be like, there'd be like what 8 more songs left or something, and they're all just not interesting. I think if I kind of remember one having like piano on it or something. I don't
Fire
fucking-
of the Clouds. That's
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of remember that. Only reason why I remember it was because it was something different on the album. I don't even, it's a highlight because it's like, it wasn't boring as fuck,
I'm gonna
But
totally
yeah, and
disagree
all
with
those
you.
albums, Dance to Death or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
John. Have you give A Matter of Life and Death another chance?
A Matter of Life and Death. That's the one with that really lame ass cover, right? Oh,
Okay.
No, that's Dance of Death.
oh,
Yeah.
Dance to Death. Oh, Dance to Death. Yeah,
Matter of Life and Death is like the army cover, like the
the
Yeah,
Army cover.
thanks.
Yeah, I
military.
don't know. I mean,
Up.
all those albums. I mean, I could give them another listen, but it's a big investment, you know.
A
On a
whole
road
hour and a
and
half.
it's like trying to not fall asleep is not easy, if especially if I'm like tired and something I can't listen to it. But then if I'm amped, I don't want to like get tired, but
Yeah.
as far as with this one though, the Senjutsu or however you pronounce it, this was the first Iron Maiden album I could listen to in years that I was driving and, actually be entertained while driving. Cause, when I drive, I don't want to listen to something that puts me to sleep because obviously.
Yeah, I don't know.
So And yeah, see, I know it's kind of weird, but for me, it's like I think the album's actually very, very good. I like the fact that it sounds very real. It doesn't have it's not very polished album. I like the pocket that Bruce Dickinson's singing in on the album. I think yeah, I mean
That's what John Gaffney mentioned. He liked his like the way.
yeah, John
that-
Gaffney was right. I agree
Yeah.
with him in a lot of stuff. And I agreed with Chris Allo, but it was just not for this album. Book of Souls, I thought he
Chris
just got
Allo.
confused between the two, you know.
Chris Allen
It's-
was priceless last week, buddy.
Yeah, I know, but it's
I think Tony Dio would give the same review as Chris Allo, actually.
I should go back and listen to it some more.
Hey,
I
you
just,
better go listen. It's given.
it's the first
an
Maiden
album-
album I have
an
not
album
purchased a
grows
hard
on me.
copy of.
see
But-
that's
But
the
I
opposite for
disagree with
me.
John completely because I think Book of Souls is way better than.
This is the first really, I mean, besides that, yeah, that crappy one I got, this was really the only album that I bought from Iron Maiden that I listened to the whole album and I liked it so much that I like, holy crap, I got to buy it. Like I had to get it on CD because I wasn't going to buy it on vinyl sight unheard. I mean, there's no freaking way after having 20 years of albums of just torturous songs that are like a great band I love playing stuff that's just lame. So I was like super happy when I actually heard it, but then I was like, oh crap, now I can't get any of the cool pressings because everything's freaking sold out or like $500.
Oh
Like,
my
you know,
God, it's really hard to get vinyl for that. Yeah.
and
Well,
it's
Two versions.
it's super expensive, and I just don't have that kind. I mean, I like the album, but I'm not gonna drop $70 on.
I was
the new Iron Maiden.
allotted 3 copies of that from my shop, and I talked to other record shops. I didn't get any, and I'm still waiting. If Brian Seigel's watching, for Cannibal Corpse vinyl because I never got Cannibal Corpse vinyl at Rock Fantasy, and you still can't get Cannibal Corpse vinyl. Isn't that ridiculous right now?
Well, yeah, it's a
It's-
real bummer, you know.
It's a bummer if you got a band and you're putting out an album now and you can't get the vinyl to sell because it's reflecting on your sales and the label and everything else. But that's a whole
Yeah,
nother subject for
It's a
another.
whole nother. It's a weird world we live in now with everything. I mean, besides the
flies and-
pandemic, just the way the whole record industry is, it's totally screwed up.
And you
But like-
can't make records. Yeah.
But and I applaud Iron Maiden for being smart enough to release 2 CDs when they really could have released it on one and get the double sales. I mean, I have to think about
Yeah.
that for our future. I'll take double sales.
You need more bass intros and outros.
I
Yeah.
mean, you have to have more 13-minute songs, John.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Then-
But am I wrong? But I mean, it seems like he's always like explaining the song after the song. You know, like he tells you about it in the beginning, what's about to happen. Then this whole huge thing happens, and then he tells you about what just happened and like what the
He's a
consequences are.
storyteller. He's a
Now that you
storyteller
mention it.
now.
But
Now
but,
that you mentioned it, John, yeah.
but to be fair, Bruce Dickinson is really one of the greatest frontman in metal history. You know, I mean, so
For
I mean,
sure.
I'm a big fan of Bruce Dickinson. I think he's amazing, and live, you know, he's always amazing. His voice has held up great throughout the years. So, you know,
So-
even though I kind of slag on it, it's just not. You know, the progressive Iron Maiden is not my cup of tea, and I'll take
But you like
Killers.
this one.
Yeah, this one I like for some reason. I don't know. I just dig it.
And what's better? KK's Priest or the new Iron Maiden?
No, KK's Priest is better.
All right.
It's a
before we
better
go.
album, but I still
I had to throw that in that war now. What do
Yeah.
the viewers say? KK's Priest or new Iron Maiden? Vote, guys. Hey, we better wrap this up because
Yes.
it's running a little long, but it's been really fun to get everybody back together in my little office here because it's been a while and we plan on keeping things going through the fall and winter months here in the Rock Fantasy Files. And John actually just interviewed the gentleman from
Creeping Death.
Creeping Death.
Trey.
And that episode will be going up. Next week, we're going to be doing a Misfits episode. And we just and we've got a typo negative scheduled, and I'm sure we'll be doing more ideas as we come on. We're going to try to actually dissect it At the Gates album, the Carcass album, the KK's Priest. We're going to try to do some little album reviews on the channel. And if you like what we do, please take a minute and subscribe and hit the like button, like we all say. And comment your favorite albums of this year so far in the comments, and please support all the folks on the channel, Sea of Tranquility, and buy a bunch of shit from Incantation,
Yeah, a lot of stuff, as much as possible.
because they
It's
were
not- you can
supposed to
never have too
tour
much
this year and
Incantation
go all
stuff.
these places, and they need to get some. When is your tour going on, John? You've got something
Uh,
lined up later this year, or is it next year now?
Next year, we're touring with Nile, us and Nile,
That's gonna be great.
and a band that I can't pronounce their name, but they're doing pretty well now. Looks like Silly String, and then I Am is the opener. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Trust me, it'll be great to get back out on the road, and it's great to be on such a big tour. And Nile, we've known Nile forever,
course.
so it'd be awesome to tour with them. And the Silly String band, I know one of the guys in that band. He seems really
Silly.
cool. So I don't know what they're called. So it just looks like Silly String. Part of it's like hanging
Already?
off the side.
I'm gonna give it a shot because I always pronounce it Sanguisugabog.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't mean anything, obviously, because it's not a word. But
What
the
was
one
the-
funny note about that band name is that it's named part of the. I guess the last part of it is named after the guy that I don't know if he formed a band, but it was in the original lineup. But he left the band, but they kept part of his name as part of the name of the band. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Wasn't there a mix up with one of the media outlets with you a week or two ago? I noticed on
Oh, yeah.
Facebook,
Yeah, we're also
Blood
touring- we're also-
Incantation.
Yeah, it's Blood Incantation with Primitive Man's, a couple other bands, and they tagged Incantation on it. So
And everybody thought you were on it too, huh?
yeah, so I was like, oh, cool, it'd be great to do that tour, I'd be totally down with it. But yeah, it's just kind of funny. But yeah, that's what happens. Sometimes people get a
Sure.
little confused, especially with band names so close to each other,
Blood Incantation, I've seen them. Very good band. I dig them.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen them play. I thought they were good.
They were out in the road with Immolation
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yep.
see them.
with Ross and them, and
Yeah, I might have seen. I don't know if it was in Malaysia. I seen them in someplace in Pittsburgh.
it was
They-
that
they were good.
Decibel, it was that Decibel tour. They were the opener when it was
Oh,
Cannibal
Necrot was
Corpse
playing too, right?
and Morbid Angel. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Necrot's a
anyhow,
really
let's
good
wrap
band.
this thing up, and thanks for everyone for coming out, and you guys stay safe out there and stay metal.
Arr.
And